and welcome to the International Daily Roundup. For our first story, we're speaking about social media site Twitter, which has suspended multiple official accounts belonging to the Cuban government during a nationwide address by President Miguel Diaz-Canel on Wednesday, September 11th. President Diaz-Canel was addressing the nation about a severe fuel shortage in the country, which is created due to the ongoing US sanctions against the tankers carrying oil from Venezuela to Cuba. According to the Foreign Ministry of Cuba, Twitter suspended Cuba's main media accounts in an obviously arranged operation. The moment President started speaking about official handles of the various media outlets, including Mesa Redonda, Canal Caribe, Granma newspaper, and Radio Rebelde, was suspended. The suspension was lifted immediately after the end of the President's broadcast. During his speech, President Diaz-Canel highlighted the aggressive policies which are adopted by the Trump administration to disrupt normal life in Cuba through renewed sanctions and restrictions on oil shipments. He emphasized that despite those sanctions, supply of essential commodities are maintained. He, however, cautioned that if there are blackouts, the situation will not be as bad as it was in the 1990s. The Donald Trump administration has multiplied such embargoes in the recent years. Illegal US sanctions against Venezuela, the main supplier of energy resources to Cuba, has impacted continuous supply of essential resources to the country in the recent times. Moving on, in the latest development in the case of privacy activist Ola Bini, the Ecuadorian judge presiding over the trial has recused himself after being challenged by Bini's defense team. The defense has raised contention over the judge's allegedly prejudiced conduct on the case, allowing undue interference in the case from the prosecutor's office. According to the Ecuadorian General Code of Conduct, unless the challenge raised by the defendant has been resolved, the judge can no longer be allowed to preside over the case. This comes as a major relief for Bini and his supporters after several reports of political interference in the case. Less than 3 weeks ago, the prosecution had also requested a change in the charges which are leveled against Bini as it was preparing to wrap up its investigation. Later on Friday, the prosecutor's office ordered a violent raid at the residence of Fabian Hurtado, a digital forensic expert working with Bini's defense team. The raid included the breaking down of Hurtado's door and confiscation of his cell phone and other digital devices without a warrant. According to the Amnesty International, in statements released in late August and Friday, both prompted by the actions of the prosecution. Bini's chances of a fair trial has been damaged to the government through the conduct of the prosecution. Apart from Amnesty, several other organizations have condemned the damage that the prosecution has inflicted on the case. Ola Bini was in prison for 70 days after being arrested in April on unspecified charges. His case was marked by the prosecution and the government's inability to press specific charges or present any evidence. Bini's defense team has estimated as many as 65 violations of the due process by the prosecution. The firing, or in his words, the resignation of US National Security Advisor John Bolton may certainly be a source of relief for those who do not wish to see an apocalyptic war, but his temporary replacement leaves much to be desired. The Trump administration announced on September 10th that Bolton's deputy and weapons industry executive Charles Kupperman will be the interim National Security Advisor. There is speculation that he may be nominated as the NSA, the fourth person to occupy the post in the administration. Kupperman has been immersed in the far-right world of American politics for over 4 decades, working on issues such as national security, arms, and foreign policy. Kupperman has held several high-level positions during the presidency of Ronald Reagan, including in the Executive Office of the President, in the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and in the President's General Advisory Committee on Arms Control and Disarmament from 2001 to 2010. Kupperman was on the board of directors at the far-right Islamophobic think tank, which is the Center for Security Policy, where Trump's controversial senior counselor, Kellyanne Conway, also worked. He also held executive positions at both Boeing and Lockheed Martin. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of the International Daily Roundup. To follow these stories and many other updates, log on to our website www.peoplesdispatch.org. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you for watching.
For more videos on people's struggles, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.